This is the biggest attention span I've seen in a while. Is it 15 minutes of people sitting around and not looking at Instagram? Sorry,
all kudos to you. But what excites you about this
नहीं वो
change?
2-3 है पीछे जैसे छुप के देख रहे बीच बीच में this friend, the gentleman.
अरे पहले विजुअल होने दो यार, पहले फोटो बाद में लेना। अरे हटो, विजुअल हुआ नहीं।
मेरी कोई वैल्यूएशन नहीं थी। आज मैं बस पैदा हो गया हूँ, एक घर पे मेरी वैल्यूएशन है। तो आपकी एस्पिरेशन क्या है कि मुझे बस लोग पहचान ले, और लोगों की वैल्यूएशन क्या है कि हम इनको पकड़ेंगे जिनको हम पहचानते हैं, तो हमको और वैल्यूएशन मिलेगी। अब मुझे कोई भी मर्द बता दो, मुंबई शहर में ले लो, छोटे शहर में ले लो, सेकंड टियर थर्ड टियर, जैसे बोलना बोल लो, हम पिंक कलर तो औरतों से ही रिलेट करते हैं। मतलब पिंक, तू लड़की है क्या रोएगा, पिंक कलर पहन के है लड़की। दिस इज एन आइडियोलॉजिकल, सो व्हेन यू डू अ फिल्म, सी वेदर द फिल्म टुमारो इज सीन बाय 1000 people, crore people, lakh people, you cannot control that. You have to keep at it. I've always tried to do, I mean, you do films for entertainment. I'll do a Mubaraka, I'll do a Half Girlfriend, I'll do Tevar, I'll do all that. But every now and again, I'll try and find something that I can do that has some kind of thought to it, some kind of layer to it. हम लोग घर पे बैठ के खाना खाते थे, तो we were talking about रूप की रानी चोरा का राजा, प्रेम, Mr. India. My uncle was one of the biggest stars of the country. I mean, he still is, but at that point, you know, Anil Kapoor was the toast of the town, one of the best actors of that generation, doing so many films. We've lived in an environment जहाँ मुझे लगता था जो लोग फिल्में नहीं बना रहे वो अजीब है. Today I'm 40, I turned 40, you know, so every year, every couple of years, you also change as a person, so you can't hold on to who you are while you're trying to create a character or art. You got to be honest to what the direct. I didn't agree with what I did in Ishaq Zadeh as a human being. I despise what Parma did. I mean, if you guys have seen Ishaq Zadeh, the boy behaves really badly. I would not want to be Danger Lanka from Singham. I definitely don't understand what Pinky Dahiya's thought process is in Sandeep or Pinky Farrar. If I look at it as Arjun Kapoor, but the moment I disassociate Arjun Kapoor and I sit down and I understand there are people like that, there are different various people. This country is a vast country, different ideologies, different culture, different upbringing, different thought processes.
Live audiences or reading comments online?
Neither. I'm fine with either. Yeah, I'm quite cool. As in, ये भी अच्छा है, वो भी ठीक है, आगे बढ़ो भाई.
Diplomatic. If you weren't an actor,
when you're an actor and you're making a film that people are seeing across the world, you got to be used to opinions. So you can't, and you got to have eyeballs. And I became an actor because I wanted the attention.
True.
So when I meet people, I'm quite okay with the engagement. And where there are people having an opinion, as long as it's about your work, you have to respect it. Where everything else is concerned, I feel that's just a lot of noise which you need to learn how to move ahead from. Sorry, मैं बहुत लंबे जवाब देता हूँ. अगर आप बोर हो गए, कहीं जा नहीं सकते, ये बैठना पड़ेगा, ठीक है?
What's your go-to song when you're in the car or in the shower?
I don't listen to music in the shower because I'm normally running late, so I try and finish that as soon as I can. So my favorite song, which I met Shankar Ehsaan Loy the other day. I met Shankar from Shankar Ehsaan Loy the other day. I didn't meet all three of them. नहीं वो line में खड़े तो मैं हाय करके. नहीं, I met Shankar the other day. I was an assistant on Kalo Nao and Salam Ishq, and they gave some amazing music in both those films. But my favorite album with this is Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. It's a film that didn't do really well, but the music in that is unbelievable. And there's a beautiful song in that called Bolna Halke Halke, which is Abhishek Bachchan and Preeti Zinta are in the song. I absolutely love that song. I don't know why. And the other song, which I'm a huge fan of Shan, the singer. उन्होंने गाना किया था जब मैं स्कूल में था, जिस was called Tanha Dil. Tanha Dil, Tanha Safar. So these are two songs that I keep listening to all the time, along with everything else. But these are two songs that I really love. तो budding youth है किधर? सब तो sorted ही लग रहा है, कोई budding है नहीं. यार इतनी advice तो दे दी, वो भी free में. I think I've said all I had to say. Listen, I think as generations proceed, it's just a very complex environment and life we live in. सुनो सबकी, करो अपनी. Because eventually when you look back in life, you will only remember what you decided to do. Other people can have an opinion about how you should live your life, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, but eventually you have to go to sleep with your own thought process and wake up with it. So stand by your conviction and own your highs, own your lows, learn from it, and be yourself. Don't let society affect you and take a toll on you. Still hold on to what your core values are. So हाँ, सुनो सबकी, लेकिन करो अपनी. Well, thank you for being an audience that didn't look at your phones. युवा पीढ़ी हो या बाकी सब भी हो, I think thank you for being a very patient audience. I give very long answers, but it seems like you guys were willing listeners. So thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me your ear and giving me your time. I'm very, very happy to be here and looking forward for a longer session soon.
Absolutely.
When we have people who are willing to listen like this, I'm always happy to engage and talk. Knew what I looked like till my first film came out. You know, you might have seen one photo in some random newspaper clipping or something. I existed, but in isolation of somebody wanting to go and search my father's name, my mother's name, looking for my photo, and maybe finding one
photo.
or
Yeah.
5 images at best over a
Yeah.
course of my entire life. So I was allowed to be a
Yourself.
normal person and explore some sort of life and reach this conclusion that I would like to pursue this. Today, there is no chance of anybody that is in my place that is allowed to engage with society and life at a very normal. So what happens is the herd mentality that we're talking about also comes from the fact that everybody is consuming. We want to be consumed. There is a certain aspiration that I want to be known now.
Right.
I didn't want to be known because there was no value to it. Without doing a film, without having some quality, without having audience acceptance, मेरी कोई valuation नहीं थी. आज मैं बस पैदा हो गया हूँ, एक घर पे मेरी valuation है. तो आपकी एस्पिरेशन क्या है कि मुझे बस लोग पहचान ले, और लोगों की वैल्यूएशन क्या है कि हम इनको पकड़ेंगे जिनको हम पहचानते तो हमको और वैल्यूएशन मिलेगी. सो द गेम इज we need to find people that even without doing anything are something. The people who without doing anything are something. So what happens is you're constantly engaging in the first beat of getting relevant. You're not actually chasing a journey over a course of life where you kind of realize, and I know it's not easy, it's not linear, you know, but what's fascinating to me is attention span for films today is tougher. For watching Instagram, I am guilty. On YouTube, I watch things on 2x now because I get bored. We have everything at our beck and call. We have everything that we want.
Arjun, welcome once again, and thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that lovely introduction. ऐसे लग रहा है मैंने ही लिख के भेजा है ताकि he can say it verbatim. Thank you so much. I don't know. Sometimes when you hear an introduction, you kind of realize, okay, you've come a long way. You know, when you work in a profession like ours, everything is continuous. You're just flowing film to film, Friday to Friday. So it feels really nice to realize, okay, I've been around for about 12, 13 years, and there is some value that you bring to the table when you're sitting and having a conversation, not only because of the profession, but just the journey that you've undertaken. So glad to be here, glad to interact with you all, and glad to be able to add my 2 cents to the thought process of young minds. Yeah, looking forward to being grilled and investigated and interrogated and asked all sorts of questions. So let's start.
Super. So you were raised around cinema, but I think your entry wasn't very automatic. So what was the inner dialogue that shaped your decision to enter this space as an actor?
You know, so I don't know how to explain it. My father was making films since I remember. Like for us, films is normal. हम लोग घर पे बैठ के खाना खाते थे तो we were talking about रूप की रानी चोर का राजा, प्रेम, Mr. India. My uncle was one of the biggest stars of the country. I mean, he still is, but at that point, you know, Anil Kapoor was the toast of the town, one of the best actors of that generation, doing so many films. We've lived in an environment जहाँ मुझे लगता था जो लोग फिल्में नहीं बना रहे वो अजीब है. Because फिल्में ही सब कुछ है. I grew up around cinema, so my love for cinema was very pure because my father was a filmmaker. Because I had actors, I appreciated the craft, but I was so obsessed with filmmaking. I was always enamored by sitting on the trolley when the camera was being pushed during the shoot. I used to love understanding how costumes were made. I used to love what lighting is. How do you do choreography? And from a very young age, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I started watching Hollywood films. You know, तभी LDs होते थे. I was fortunate. I grew up in a house that had those things available, and I think I was just very passionate. I used to then eventually DVDs आए, मैं फिल्में देखना चालू की. मुझे पढ़ाई में कभी इंटरेस्ट नहीं था. मुझे फिल्मों में बहुत इंटरेस्ट था. पढ़ाई में ठीक ठाक था. Then unfortunately when my parents split up, I lost. I think films became my shell. You know, I could go to my safe space and watch films. Then commentary देखता था, पढ़ता था. उस टाइम पे इंटरनेट तो था नहीं. It was all about what you could get your hands on. So I think it was indirect, yes, but my love for cinema was very pure. My passion was very, very true. And I think somewhere my family saw कि ये और कुछ करने नहीं वाला. I never wanted to be an actor. I wanted to make films. I still do. I want to produce and direct films. So I think when I started working or when I wanted to work, it was just to enter the film industry to continue what I loved. Yes, it is my family did that, but it came from a very deep-rooted place of loving this. I used to go to theaters alone, watch films. When I traveled, my whole excitement used to be कौन सी फिल्में लगी है theaters में. मैं जाके अकेले चाहे वो I mean, I was lucky that I got to travel across the world, but it used to be, okay, which film is releasing this Friday, what released last Friday. मैं back to back जाके फिल्में देखा करता था. For me, going to Lowe's Cineplex in New York, Times Square की excitement नहीं थी. वहाँ पे जो theater है उसकी excitement थी. Because वहाँ पे मैं सुबह से जाके रात भर पिक्चरें देखता था. वो अलग बात है कि popcorn और hot dogs वगैरह वो सब भी खाता था. But I used to just love cinema, and I still do. So for me, acting just happened. I am blessed, and I just took a chance. I went with Varun Dhawan and started doing Barry Jones acting workshop just to see how does it feel to stand as not myself and to live vicariously through another character, another person. And that time, those other people didn't know who I was, so it became much easier. And I started enjoying being other people except myself. I was a fat kid growing up. I had certain thoughts about how I look, and then the moment I started acting, I used to not care about how I looked. And I think that somewhere was important. You know, you celebrate what you're playing, you enjoy what you're playing versus how you're looking doing it. So yeah, I think a very long answer to a very simple question, but the fact is, it started from my childhood. It was an escape. It was a love. It was a passion. It was a connection to my family. But there was a certain purity in my heart, and there was a certain innocence in believing that I love entertaining people. I love being entertained. I was an audience member who wanted to make films that other audience members enjoy. And as naive as that sounds, I think in 2010, when I decided I want to pursue this profession, it still came from that simple, basic thought. And there's that madness you do need in this profession any which way. So.
Absolutely. And you know, you spoke about a little bit about the process being someone else.
Yes.
So you know, what takes longer, learning the character's world or actually unlearning yourself?
So you know, you change. Today I'm 40. I turned 40. You know, so every year, every couple of years, you also change as a person. So you can't hold on to who you are while you're trying to create a character or art. You got to be honest to what the direct. I didn't agree with what I did in Ishaq Zadeh as a human being. I despise what Parma did. I mean, if you guys have seen Ishaq Zadeh, the boy behaves really badly. I would not want to be Danger Lanka from Singham. I definitely don't understand what Pinky Dahiya's thought process is in Sandeep or Pinky Farrar. If I look at it as Arjun Kapoor, but the moment I disassociate Arjun Kapoor and I sit down and I understand there are people like that, there are different various people. This country is a vast country, different ideologies, different culture, different upbringing, different thought processes. You can agree to disagree with a character, but you have to still be able to do it with sincerity and honesty. You cannot let my culture with women is different. But a character behaving a certain way does not mean that I have to adhere to the sensibility, but I have to understand why he behaves that way and create some sort of empathy in my head to portray it. I don't need to rely कि यार इन सबको समझना चाहिए वो character क्यों कर रहा है, पर मुझे तो समझना पड़ेगा वो character क्यों ऐसा कर रहा है. So I think there's a constant disconnect and detachment from being Arjun when you take a choice. What happens is, you know, there's an overall arc of a sensibility of a story. You as Arjun can say, मुझे ये कहानी का हिस्सा बनना है. Yeah, as Arjun, मुझे ये कहानियां नहीं बोलनी audience को. So I think that the bigger picture for me is always, do I relate to the story? Not every character is relatable, but the story at the end of the day should feel like, okay, this is a story worth telling. And yeah, I think there have been a lot of characters I've played that I wouldn't want to be in the same room as them. And then there are some characters that I wish I was like, which is whether it's the boy from Ki & Ka. So you have to take bits and pieces of yourself in some roles and put them in and the connection that you have. And in certain cases, you have to completely disassociate and work on what the director wants. Also, you have to believe that the director knows why the character is doing what they're doing and you invest in that time and energy with them. Yeah. So, yeah, देखिए हम commercial film में करते हैं, entertain करते हैं, उसमें एक art है, उसमें एक entertainment है, उसमें एक craft है. But somewhere I feel you need to just be very, very sincere about it without thinking about Arjun kya soche. It's about, okay, this is the character, this is what the director wants, let's try and do it if we like the story. That's what it is.
And you know,
sorry, मैं बहुत लंबे जवाब देता हूँ. अगर आप बोर हो गए, कहीं जा नहीं सकते, ये बैठना पड़ेगा, ठीक है?
No, I think this has been extremely insightful, and I wanted to just pick up on what you said. Is sometimes you relate with the character, sometimes you don't, but it's really about the story that you want to tell, right? And you've in the past also mentioned that the job of an actor is to start a conversation.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do you use your platform to spark meaningful dialogue on topics that matter to India's youth?
So I think for me, I think when I did Ki & Ka, which she spoke about, that's why you do a film like that, because I think I don't understand how to be able to be the torchbearer of change just easily by just talking about it. You know, equality, women empowerment, gender bias. These are all conversations that are very, very layered. These are our patriarchy, our society, our culture, our upbringing is not 5, 10, 15, 20 years. There are hundreds of years of thought processes that you need to mold, remold, reshape. I think what happens is when you try and break, when you try and get aggressive, there is always a pushback. The idea is you keep going. And in whatever way, as an artist, as an actor, as a human being that has some value, you slowly engage with the right people to understand whether they're paying attention, they understand. I think a film like Ki & Ka, if we had done a heavy, sincere, overloaded metaphor about how women need to be given equality, I think what would have happened is it would have seemed like, Acha, you're trying to influence us. You're trying to tell us how to be. Balki sir decided, you know what, I'm making a romantic comedy about a man who wants to be a house husband and a woman that wants to aspire to live her life in a corporate world and make it. When you simplify it like that and you say it's a romantic comedy, suddenly the husbands didn't mind going to see the film with the wives. The wives didn't mind going to see a film that was a rom-com. In the garb of that, there was a narrative or a set thought that came out. Even today, when I'm flying on flights, people come and say, "Arey yaar, aapne wo picture ki na, uske baad I had to end up helping my wife at home." So it doesn't mean that you start understanding everything, but as a man, you start respecting what the woman is doing at home to run a home. I think for me, those are the dialogues and conversations that I was when I do a film like Sandeep or Pinky Farrar, I played a character called Pinky in the film. अब मुझे कोई भी मर्द बता दो, मुंबई शहर में ले लो, छोटे शहर में ले लो, सेकंड टियर, थर्ड टियर, जैसे बोलना है बोल दो, हम पिंक कलर तो औरतों से ही रिलेट करते हैं. मतलब पिंक, तू लड़की है क्या रोएगा, पिंक कलर पहन के है लड़की. दिस इज एन आइडियोलॉजिकल. सो व्हेन यू डू अ फिल्म, सी वेदर द फिल्म टुमारो इज सीन बाय 1000 पीपल, करोड़ पीपल, लाख पीपल, you cannot control that. You have to keep at it. I've always tried to do, I mean, you do films for entertainment. I'll do a Mubaraka, I'll do a Half Girlfriend, I'll do Tevar, I'll do all that. But every now and again, I'll try and find something that I can do that has some kind of thought to it, some kind of layer to it. That's the platform, that's the main platform as an actor. Then you get to speak like this. Then you have social media. Then you have people, when you meet them one-to-one, you influence them. And in a country like ours, in a world like ours today, when there's so much of noise, I think what you have to do is retain your core values, because you can't shift every year because there are new thoughts coming in. When I was 2000, I lost my mother in 2012. Okay, so I was a young boy then. I understand the value of growing up with my parents split up at a young age. Thank you. So my ideologies were formed at a very young age. I'm not going to change unless somebody can convince me to change over a course of time. And I don't want to change my belief system just because ab wo Vogue mein aa gaya ki I need to be woke suddenly about certain things. I need to be cool about certain things. I need to have an identity of my own understanding. Only then can today in a conversation I can have my point and you can have yours. Which I wish you don't look back from 2010 and say, "Tabhi to aise bol raha tha, aaj was ye," which is also important. You know, you hold on to your core values going forward. Yeah.
I think core values are always consistent, and I think, but your view on things can change as you.
And you're open to interpretation and you can, like I said, agree to disagree. आपका एक opinion है, मेरा एक opinion है. I love discourse.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the way forward in life. You have to. I might fight with you, not agree in this moment. I'll go home and come and think about it. I said, you know what? There's certain things that you made. Yeah. So, and that's how. आजकल की society में क्या है ना? There are no grays. There is no. It's very, very. It's black and white. You got to be one side or the other. You don't have the time to learn, understand, study. So it's a bit complex. It's binary right now, I guess. Yeah.
And talking about aaj ki society, the world is also shifting. OTT, creator economy, shorter attention spans. So as an actor, what excites you about this new ecosystem, and what worries you about this?
This is the biggest attention span I've seen in a while. Is it 15 minutes of people sitting around and not looking at Instagram? Sorry.
All kudos to you. But what excites you about this?
नहीं, वो दो तीन है पीछे जैसे छुप के देख रहे हैं बीच में. The gentleman in the.
So, as an actor, how do you view this change, and how do you think film will evolve with this change in consumer and consumption behavior?
आपके पास 6-8 घंटे है तो हम बात कर सकते हैं इस बारे में. This is it's too. The fact that the attention span is less means we have to work harder for getting 15 seconds of curated fame, 15 seconds of having a point of view. Everything, like I said, has become extreme. Everything is to make noise. There is a lot of chaos, a lot of cacophony. There's a lot of things going on, but there's not a lot of value going on. And I'm the first one to admit that we as a film industry have also been through a phase where we've tried to catch attention. We've tried to take the easier way out. And I'm not going to get into the debate and the conversation about which region has made better films or not, because that's continuous. I think we as the Hindi film industry, as an industry, have also tried to play to the gallery, play to the quickest way of success, which is trying to make money and a quick buck by just gathering attention. And I think we are all guilty of that. And I think most industries will say that, most people that understand that there has been a phase where there's a radical shift post-COVID in the way attention span is reduced. Now, see, it's very easy to say, aaj ki generation. And I hate the fact that I have to now start saying, the generation I grew up in. I hate the fact that I'm now growing a bit older, so I can say, when we were growing up is the worst thing in the world to say. I think this generation that we have right now has been through a very unfortunate and traumatizing time where life has changed while they were sitting at home. They don't know any better. We got to go out and explore things. There was a bit of slowness. We discovered things. Right now, they sit at home and everything is being discovered. And then the aspiration is the other person has this because they know about it, so we also want it. There is no quest that is coming from an individual ambition about what you desire. It is coming from a curated place of everybody has this, so I should have it. The uniqueness has died down because everybody looks like each other, everybody dresses like each other, everybody thinks like each other. And the next big thing has become, okay, let's do a startup because we don't want to work for a company. Let's do, it's just there. It's
a little bit of a herd mentality as well.
Which is unfortunate, but that is also, you cannot blame them. They've grown up in an environment where Instagram is telling them to chase the dream in a particular way. We discover, listen, I'm somebody who didn't educate himself. I discovered through meandering. I had the luxury of not being, okay, I'll give you my industry's example. Nobody knew what I looked like till my first film came out. You know, you might have seen one photo in some random newspaper clipping or something. I existed, but in isolation of somebody wanting to go and search my father's name, my mother's name, looking for my photo and maybe finding one or 5 images at best over a course of my entire life. So I was allowed to be a normal person and explore some sort of life and reach this conclusion that I would like to pursue this. Today, there is no chance of anybody that is in my place that is allowed to engage with society and life at a very normal. So what happens is the herd mentality that we're talking about also comes from the fact that everybody is consuming. We want to be consumed. There is a certain aspiration that I want to be known now. I didn't want to be known because there was no value to it. Without doing a film, without having some quality, without having audience acceptance, मेरी कोई valuation नहीं थी. आज मैं बस पैदा हो गया हूँ, एक घर पे मेरी valuation है. तो आपकी aspiration क्या है कि मुझे बस लोग पहचान ले, और लोगों की valuation क्या है कि हम इनको पकड़ेंगे जिनको हम पहचानते तो हमको और valuation मिलेगी. So the game is we need to find people that even without doing anything are something. The people who without doing anything are something. So what happens is you're constantly engaging in the first beat of getting relevant. You're not actually chasing a journey over a course of life where you kind of realize. And I know it's not easy. It's not linear, you know. But what's fascinating to me is attention span for films today is tougher. For watching Instagram, I am guilty. On YouTube, I watch things on 2x now because I get bored. We have everything at our beck and call. We have everything that we want. And with that, you will lose attention because आज मेरे साथ बात करते करते आपके पास 10 चीजें फोन पे अवेलेबल है, आपके दिमाग में 100 चीजें चल रही है. आप घर जाओगे, आप मेरे यही वीडियोस देखोगे तो you can cover up on watching something. You'll be watching something else while you're watching this. You're watching a sport and you're watching an episode of a show at the same time. You'll be watching 2 sports at the same time. You'll be also checking on the internet what is happening somewhere else at the same time. So obviously you're going to have a generation that will have some kind of attention disorder.
So as you can see, Arjun has a very deep personality and he really thinks about a lot of things, right? As we can see from the depth of thought. But less known fact that I discovered when I was researching for today's session was he's actually as numerate and commercial as he is creative. So, you know, if you had to explain the economics of a Bollywood film to a 21-year-old MBA student, and we have a few in the room today, how would you describe the interplay between story, star, platform, data, and marketing?
I'll start a sidebar conversation firstly with them and not do it on a public platform because they're going to wonder, why are you guys making films? There is no reason for you all to be making films because there's no upside. There is literally no upside. And I think that's a realization that a lot of people who've come in from outside have realized, okay, this is a business which is Russian roulette, which is gambling. And I think that's the first starting point, that don't look at it like an Excel sheet because then you can't make films because it's a very gut and impulsive profession. It's a profession that you have to leave a lot of your education aside when you look at doing something. Yes, then in that chaos to find structure and order to do it with some numbers comes in. But the first impulse is, you cannot rely on your MBA to make a film. You can rely on your MBA in the process of making the film. But your choice to tell a story has to come from you as an audience, from you understanding why the director, why the makers, why the actors have a vision. When it comes to the numbers, that's equally important because it is a business. So you must make sure to some degree you safeguard the people that are investing money in. It has become more of a formalized business now post the corporates coming in post 2010, 2012, where businesses have got, our business has got some sort of structure. So I think the principal core value, let's assume for a second that COVID really changed the theatrical dynamic of it, but just for bare essential conversation, Your core business is theatrical. Theatrical revenue is what designs or defines the budget of a film. You don't look at the ancillary income, which is today you have digital sales, that is your Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, Z, etc. Those platforms buy your film for post-theatrical.
Yeah.
There is satellite, which today is at a downward swing because advertisements have shifted to social media and YouTube and digital. So earlier satellite was the biggest place to make money post-release of a film. You have music, which you sell in perpetuity to people, whether it's T-Series, Universal, there are Sony, etc., etc. Now, these are your three big revenue streams outside of the theatrical revenue model. Now, theatrical is broken to India and overseas. Normally, it's done by two separate distributions. Sometimes, if you're a Yash Raj, you have offices everywhere, so you do it yourself. Now, theatrically, आप जब सुनते हैं ना पिक्चर ने 100 करोड़ किया, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर शेयर 50 करोड़ होता है उसका, बिकॉज 50% चाहता है एग्जीबिशन और टैक्सेशन. दैट मीन्स we as a producer, when I make a film, if the film has done 100 crores, the revenue is 50 crores from that to the distributor that has given you the ability to release the film. So you're sharing that 50 crores with the distributor. And the distributor will pay you an MG mostly upfront to acquire your film, because that is how because you get the cash flow, so you can make the film. So when you look at the numbers, say a film has done 500 crores, eventually जब आप brass tacks सब हटा दोगे मोटा मोटा, आपको 200 crore हाथ में आएगा. उसमें फिर हम लोग बाद में टैक्स भरेंगे प्रॉफिट में, ऐसा नहीं, वो भी है हमारा बाकी, ठीक है. तो when you're looking at a number like 500 crores, eventually the hand money that you're getting from theatrical is 150 to 200 crores. Overseas might be another X amount of money. Again, there the revenue sharing is very different. It's not 50%. It could be 60, 40, 55, 45. Different revenue models are there. So when you look at a film and when you look at the numbers, eventually when you take, let's say hypothetically, हम एक फिल्म बना रहे थे जिसका बजट 100 करोड़ रुपए, हमारी एस्पिरेशन पहले होगी कि कम से कम थिएट्रिकल से भी कवर 75 crores minimum.
Now that's changed.
Now that's changed because theatrical business has no minimum.
Yeah.
Today a film can do 500, it can do 5.
Yeah.
There is no mid path. You know, when I started my career, when I did let's say for a film, I did Key and Ka, okay? Key and Ka's budget was 25 crores plus PNA. Now PNA is about, say at that time 5 crore होते थे, तो 30 crore पकड़ लीजिए. आज PNA बहुत महंगा हो गया. When you make a film, you need to spend maybe more than you imagine on print and advertisement, which is expensive. 50 करोड़ का धंधा किया हिंदुस्तान में किया इनका ने, हमने 30 करोड़ में बनाई. तो आप 50 करोड़ का 40% पकड़ेंगे, कितना होता है? 20-22 करोड़ होता है. तो 20 करोड़ हमने इंडिया थिएट्रिकल से कवर किए. Overseas, the film had done over $5 million, if I'm not mistaken. So you get about $2 million. At that point, I think the ratio was about 80 rupees or 75, 80. So overall, the film covered its cost from theatrical. That time, digital didn't exist. So we sold to satellite. Now the satellite recovered X amount of money. The music was sold at a notional value by the producers, which are because उसमें high heels गाना था. That recovered X amount of money. So that film ended up making money because we made it for 24-25 crores and it did 50 crores. But we knew कि अर्जुन की पिक्चर करीना के साथ एक बेसिक धंधा करती है. आज हमको पता ही नहीं बेसिक धंधा क्या है theatrically. So it has changed the entire revenue model. Now the revenue model coming to today is, first we need to understand what will the digital, what will the music and what will the satellite sales be, because that is your base value to make a film. So today it's become inverse from what 2019 was. Theatrical is the upside. Eventually you only make the film if you're recovering money and guaranteed from your digital, satellite and music sales.
Theatrical is a bonus.
Theatrical is a bonus. So you flipped it. हम तो थिएटर के लिए पिक्चर बनाते हैं, ये सब तो हमारा असल वो था, ये सूद है. Now today, it's the opposite. So today, that is why lesser films are being made, because the platforms eventually decide they only need so many films. Satellite's market is down, like I said, because advertisement is inconsistent. And music today has become downloadable. So what happens is you don't buy an album, you're looking at one song.
Yeah.
So it becomes about that one particular song that breaks through. So you're not selling an album, you're selling one song for the download streams. So yeah, for all the MBA guys, if you guys still want to make films, give me a call.
Well, thank you
I don't
so
know.
much.
I mean, listen, it's far more complex than I put it. But the thing is, there's been a big switch in the way economics of the film industry works.
Absolutely,
So,
and I think that 5-minute masterclass was truly insightful. So
I don't know how much they enjoyed it, but thank you so much.
Thing is, and going slightly deeper and more personal, right? So today, mental health is something that everyone talks about, and you've always been very open with dealing with and talking about body image struggles, mental health challenges, other health issues. So how has facing these challenges and struggles influenced your outlook on life, and how has it impacted your creative confidence?
I grew up an obese kid. Now I used to not be an obese kid. Then my parents split up, and I obviously looked at food for solutions. And I think a lot of us have gone through emotional eating. We still go through it. I think it doesn't matter what age you are. It just depends on your emotional and mental well-being. So I understand how obesity has affected people in various ways, because you do look at yourself in the mirror in a very different way. You can wake up and have a thin day and a fat day. I still have that. You know, it's true. If your jeans fit slightly looser, you have a great day ahead. If the t-shirt is a bit tight on that day, it can change your entire mood and the way you approach life. And it is that subtle. You can have a great meal and love it in that moment, and then go home and feel guilty and not be able to sleep. And you toss and turn about the fact that, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I didn't need to do that. And you let it fester in your head. And then the next day you try and overcompensate by not eating anything at all. And then you go to the gym, and then you give up after a few days, because there's an extremity to this. But it's not only the physical extremity, it is a mental extremity. Because there is nobody to tell you that there is got to be a certain amount of durability in your lifestyle. There's got to be a certain way you calm yourself down and look at it and approach it like a life. Not like you're doing it only for the week that you want to lose 1 kg, or you want to look better because your friend's party is coming, or there's a wedding that you want to wear an outfit for. There's got to be a much more holistic way of looking at it. Sadly, nobody can teach you that, because koi bhi kitna bol dena, jab tak aap mein wo moment nahi aata, you will not understand it. And that is what life is. Now, in the course of that, you need to have people who can support you and be empathetic towards you while you go through this. And you should have people who you can confide in and tell them that you're vulnerable. I think I was very lucky. My mother understood what I was going through. My sister and me both suffered from it, where obesity was concerned, and therefore mental health was very, very vulnerable. I was a very strong kid mentally, in terms of I understood what my parents had been through at that point, so I took life on. But the journey to lose weight took me 4 years. But because I had a solid foundation like my mother, she allowed me to go through that 3.5 years to drop 50 kgs. And I had a professional aspiration. Most people don't have the monetary ways to do it. Most people will struggle through one week of having motivation, because somebody will say something and they'll get thrown out. I could live in a shell. So I understand that obesity is a very, very tricky space. My mental health actually has been triggered not by obesity. I was very resilient towards my obesity because I handled it. I was very sure about it. I still am a person who really, I have a lot of self-confidence that I can take on everything in life. I mean, the kind of shit I've taken, I don't think, I mean, when you lose your backbone at 25, then what is the world going to be able to do to you? So I'm a very resilient person. But where mental health was concerned, I saw it in my sister. She started talking about it. I didn't realize how affected I was with all the obstacles I'd faced in life, including obesity, including making my career the way I did, including facing the highs and lows, including the fact that my parents had a tough life where their separation was concerned. And of course, the attention and eyeballs, you become a star overnight and suddenly you're scrutinized. The way you look, the way you talk, the way you express, the way you behave off camera, on camera, everything. So I think post-COVID, I realized that I was a hamster on a wheel and I'd never taken care of myself. I lost my mother in 2012 when I was working after that. I became a star overnight. My mother passed away on 25th March 2012. My first film released 11th May 2012. 45 days of my mourning, and my film released and the world recognized me. I was given an opportunity that there was a door open that I can become the celebrated. I took it because I wanted to escape and run away from what I was dealing with. I woke up in 2022 and realized, you know what, I've dealt with nothing for the last 10 years because one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. I took on the fame, I took on the adulation. I must have made some bizarre choices. I must have behaved a certain way. I didn't even know. My head was just all over the place. COVID gave me a moment of realization. And I started therapy after that because I realized, यार आप कभी-कभी ना अपनों से नहीं बात कर पाते. Because अपने तो सोचते अरे ये तो बहुत resilient है, इसने क्या-क्या नहीं देखा है यार, ये तो सब कुछ कर लेता है. He's so absolutely sorted. And I'm the big brother who's always been there taking care of my friends, my family. I've always been the sorted guy. But what about the guy who's sorted? He also he's slightly messed up in the head. He needs help. And I'm a big advocate for therapy because I realize the value of it. After 2 years today, I do it continuously. I use it as, it's literally like you just offload. आप खुल के बात करते हो ना, आपको चीजें अपने आप समझ में आती है. It's like you declutter your mind. And a lot of people don't have that outlet. A lot of people, they get suffocated because of it. Once you let things out of your mind and you say it, you will realize how smart and sensible you are, but you just need an outlet. Sometimes your best friend can be that, but your best friend is also going through stuff. So you're listening and then your mother, your father, your brother, सबकी अपनी. But therapist बोल रहा है, आप जितना बोलना चाहते हो बोल लो. आपके पास 1 घंटा है, आप बोलिए. You come and vomit. And trust me, that makes me feel so much better. So I've been through what I've been through, and I don't want to go into details because I think that deviates from the bigger conversation we're having. That would be a very specific thing. I would love to be somebody who allows people to feel safe to speak about mental health. I think it's a very real thing in today's day and age with the way life has become. There is a lot of toxicity around. There's a lot of energy sapping people around. There's a lot of energy sapping situations around, and you need an outlet. And there is nothing wrong with being vulnerable. I think the biggest problem is vulnerability. People are looked at as weak. I think the strongest people in this world are people who are emotional and who are vulnerable. The idea is don't let anybody pull you down for having vulnerability. It's about how you use that vulnerability to make the world a better place and to live your life by not having to become detached or distanced. You own who you are, but you process it in a way that in a detached and distanced world, your vulnerability, you should wear it on your sleeve and roam around and be proud about being able to handle how emotional you are. So there's nothing wrong with being emotional and putting yourself out there in front of a therapist or in front of people who can help you heal and do better.
Absolutely. And I think very important lesson there for all of us as youth of the country that being vulnerable is where your greatest strength kind of comes from.
नहीं है, हम emotional,
Absolutely.
हम एक emotional देश हैं. We have always been emotional. So why should we shy away from that? Why should we try and ape when they should be trying to ape us? We are the ones who are doing so well. We've become something that the world today looks at. We are emotional. We celebrate everything. We are emotional about everything. So even this, I think where mental health is concerned, we should be allowed to be emotional and be ourselves and take care of ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. And now moving on to my last segment, which is a little less deep and more
Wow,
fun.
that went really quickly. I gave such long answers कि दो चार सवाल में खत्म हो गया mind.
That
I'm so
time's
happy
up
seeing
has been
time's
there
up
for
has
the
been there
last
for 1 hour.
15 minutes.
Yeah. I thought it's an error.
You know, I could go on and on. This conversation has been extremely engaging. But moving on,
I would hope it's for them also.
like you said, no one's got their phones out, no one's
Chalo,
on
that's a good
Instagram,
thing.
so I think that's a good sign. But if you could live one day as a Bollywood character, that's not something that you've played before. Which character would that be?
Love to be an MBA and, and think about how to make money much more easily and be educated about it rather than learning the hard way through trials and tribulations of an industry where we're also gambling quite a lot with our emotional and our creative juices. Yeah, I would love to, like when I see Succession, when I see, I see these worlds of people who are so educated and they understand how numbers work, how the stock market works, how I would find that very interesting to if I had a day, I would love to go into that space and perhaps understand how people who wake up at 7 in the morning and rush to check out what the numbers are, what Nasdaq is saying today. It would be an interesting character. It would also be an interesting space to explore because I think as an actor, you don't get to do roles like that very easily. So yeah, I would love to do that kind of space.
Okay. What do you find more intimidating? Live audiences or reading comments online?
Neither. I'm fine with either. Yeah. I'm quite cool. As in, ये भी अच्छा है, वो भी ठीक है, आगे बढ़ो भाई.
Diplomatic. If you weren't an actor,
when you're an actor and you're making a film that people are seeing across the world, you got to be used to opinions. So you can't, and you got to
Absolutely.
have eyeballs. And I became an actor because I wanted the attention.
True.
So when I meet people, I'm quite okay with the engagement. And where there are people having an opinion, as long as it's about your work, you have to respect it. Where everything else is concerned, I feel that's just a lot of noise which you need to learn how to move ahead from.
True. So if you weren't an actor, what would you be?
Not an MBA graduate for sure, but I would be a filmmaker. I would be producing and directing films, which I still aspire to do. I think that would be continuous. Yeah. I would want to be part of the film industry. मुझे और कुछ आता ही नहीं है यार. मैं बहुत genuinely बोल रहा हूँ. I studied till 11th. I learned whatever I learned because this profession has allowed me to, and the experiences I've had. तो मैं फिल्में ही करता किसी न किसी तरीके से.
So I also read that you're a big football fan.
Yes, I am.
So if you could play one role in a football team, what role would that be?
The manager.
And why?
Because you get to control everything and everyone. Eventually, it's your mindset that you transfer. It's that energy. You get a bunch of people believing in your philosophy, in your thought process. You take them to war. You take them to take on that feeling that is us against the world. So I grew up loving Chelsea. I still support Chelsea. I started supporting them when Roman Abramovich had not bought them. In the 1999 season is when I started supporting them. After that, he bought them. Jose Mourinho came in, who is absolutely the pinnacle of management for me. I look at, the special one, yes, for our special club. And that changed my entire outlook on how a manager can actually affect. And there's a game called Football Manager that I'm obsessed with. It's a game that I love playing. So for me, I would love to be the manager. It's almost like when you're making a film, you have these 200 people that believe in you, and you go against the conviction. Log bol rahe nahi chalegi, ye nahi hoga, banao aur chalti hai, to how you feel. So I think football management also is as exciting as that.
Super. And what's your go-to song when you're in the car or in the shower?
I don't listen to music in the shower because I'm normally running late, so I try and finish that as soon as I can. So my favorite song, which I met Shankar Ehsaan Loy the other day. I met Shankar from Shankar Ehsaan Loy the other day. I didn't meet
And I was
all
like,
three
you
of
met
them.
all three of them.
नहीं वो line में खड़े तो हाय हाय करके नहीं, I met Shankar the other day. I was an assistant on Kalo Nao and Salam Ishq, and they give some amazing music in both those films. But my favorite album with theirs is Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. It's a film that didn't do really well, but the music in that is unbelievable. And there's a beautiful song in that called Bolna Halke Halke, which is Abhishek Bachchan and Preeti Zinta are in the song. I absolutely love that song. I don't know why. And the other song, which I'm a huge fan of Shan, the singer. उन्होंने गाना किया था जब मैं स्कूल में था, जिस was called तन्हा दिल तन्हा सफर. So these are two songs that I keep listening to all the time, along with everything else. But these are two songs that I really love.
If you had to pick one, Arjun the son, Arjun the brother, Arjun the actor.
No, the actor would not be competing with brother and son. So I would, and the actor has constant ability to learn, adapt, and grow. I think as a brother and son, you need to be doing a pretty good job when you turn 40. You can't be learning and growing at the age of 40 about it. I think I've been a good brother because circumstances. I wish I was able to be the best son without having these circumstances to be the best brother. I wish I had my mother around, and I wish my father and my mother could see me being the best son in the world and them being the best parents to my sister and me being able to be the best son to them. So yeah, I've grown up being the best brother perhaps to all my sisters, but I wish I can be the best son when life comes to an end also, yeah.
And my last question to you is, like you said, you recently turned 40.
Yes, repeat that again.
And if you had to share one piece of advice with the budding youth here today, what would that be?
तो budding youth है किधर? सब तो sorted ही लग रहा है, कोई budding है नहीं. यार इतनी advice तो दे दी, वो भी free में. I think I've said all I had to say. Listen, I think as generations proceed, it's just a very complex environment and life we live in. सुनो सबकी, करो अपनी. Because eventually when you look back in life, you will only remember what you decided to do. Other people can have an opinion about how you should live your life, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, but eventually you have to go to sleep with your own thought process and wake up with it. So stand by your conviction and own your highs, own your lows, learn from it, and be yourself. And don't let society affect you and take a toll on you. Still hold on to what your core values are. So हाँ, सुनो सबकी लेकिन करो अपनी.
And I think that wonderfully sums up our session today, right? Which is you do you.
Yeah.
Right? And be true
And
to yourself.
this generation is pretty good with it.
Absolutely.
So don't let our generation, which is maybe little behind you, or the change
Influence
the way you are,
yeah.
because you guys are making. I mean, listen, you guys have your issues. We also did, and I hate saying it in that way. But every generation, every few years has it. But I think it's an amazing time for the younger generation to be out there and making a life. So go for it. Yeah. Take those chances.
So thank you so much, Arjun. It's been an absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.